Satnam, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to another episode in our continuing program, Your Miracle Mantra Moment. So as people are arriving, I'm just going to let you know that there's a few things going on tomorrow, starting in the morning with sadhana time, mountain time. There'll be a program called the Summer Solstice E-Summit, and that is being put on by our sister organization, 3HO International, and they will be having a program filled all day long tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday as a celebration, a remote celebration of the summer solstice. Normally there's a big gathering here in New Mexico near where I live with 2,500 people who come, and been doing that for 50 years. But sorry, forgot to silence my phone. But the it's coming from everywhere. But the event, of course, can't happen in person this year, so they're doing it online. And so I hope you'll check out. There's a link scrolling across the bottom of the screen here. Sikh Dharma International. We will be presenting 3 different classes each morning at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. And so I hope you'll check those out and be with us. So we're going to start now with the 11 minutes of Dandan Randas Guru. And, you know, as you have heard, perhaps if you've been here before, you can simply meditate with this silently, close your eyes, or have them fixed at the tip of your nose. Or you can chant along wherever your eyes are, that's fine. Or you can do this as a meditation where you take the the right thumb up, and the left hand wraps like a fist around that thumb, and then your right fingers come up along the back of your left hand, and you just hold that at your center, at your heart center, and your elbows are relaxed at your sides, and you can be silent or chanting. You'll have to excuse me. Somehow my tabla machine stopped working. So a little technical glitch here while we figure this out. And of course it says it's connected, but of course it's not working. And we'll try this and try it again. There we go. Okay. And it's in the wrong key. So sorry. Where are we? There we go. Ramdas Guru, Ramdas Guru. Apasir janhare tariya puri hoye karmat apasir janhare tariya sikhi Sangati Par Brahma Kar Naam Sakariya Sikhi Aate Sangati Par Brahma Kar Naam Sakariya Par Brahma Kar Naam Sakariya Par Brahma Kar Naam Sakariya Ramdas Guru Ramdas Guru Jin Siriya Tinne Savariya Jin Siriya Tinne Savariya Ramdas Guru Ramdas Guru Ramdas Guru Atal Aton Tum Tera Antan Parvariya Atal Aton Tum Tera Antan Parvariya Jinni tu seviya pankar se tun par utariya Jinni tu seviya pankar se tun par utariya se tun par utariya se tun par utariya Ramdas
काम क्रोध मन कंडे तुन सपारवानिया नाम लोभ काम क्रोध मन कंडे तुन सपारवानिया धन सो तेरा काम है सच तेरा पैस कारिया धन सो तेरा काम है सच तेरा पैस कारिया सच तेरा पैस कारिया सच तेरा पैस नानक तू रहना है गुर अमृत विचारिया नानक तू रहना है गुर अमृत विचारिया गुर दितात मन सदारिया गुर दितात मन सदारिया गुर दितात मन सदारिया गुर दितात मन सदारिया
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So I'm going to move the computer a little closer so I can see the comments. All right. I hope you're all doing well. And a bunch of regular people. By that I mean people who come back often. So Judith is here. Flory from Brazil. Sajal, and Satpakar. Okay. And Gulzan. And Kirandeep. Sifty Kaur. Okay. And let's see, we have Rosie and Leilani and Satkirtan, Pav Singh, Winnie, Natalie, and Nivedita. I think you've been here before too. So, yeah, so welcome to you all. And I'm really going to put a little more responsibility on those of you who come here often, especially. Perhaps today would be the day that you put your question in the comments section. Or maybe even just a topic idea that you'd like to talk a little bit, or that we can discuss. So I'm going to be looking for that and hoping that some of you do jump in. But in the meantime, I thought I'd talk a little bit about the mind. And there's a famous line from Gurbani, from Guru Nanak actually. Man jite jag jeet. And it means that if you can conquer the mind, then you can conquer the world. And that's a very simplified translation of that line. But however, Guru Nanak's point is that one of our biggest obstacles to finding balance in life is that the mind can get in the way. And perhaps some of you have done your level 1 Kundalini Yoga teacher training program, and you will have learned a little bit about the mind, the three minds: negative mind, positive mind, and neutral mind. And so that will help you in this discussion, I think. But, Sikhs don't talk about this philosophy very much, but it was clear that Guru Nanak understood it, and that, it's useful. It's practical knowledge as we are trying to walk on this path of Sikh Dharma, that if we understand a little bit about our own mind, it will help us as we meditate, as we try to process what arrives in our mind, and that, without some understanding of how the mind works, it's pretty hard to navigate and understand our own mind. So there's a few things that are helpful to remember. And the first thing perhaps is that the mind never stops providing thoughts. And it's sometimes referred to as the monkey mind. That voice in our head that just keeps providing a running monologue, perhaps, or just there's always more thoughts coming. And, that's a useful thing, or it can be. But the mind is not who we are. The mind is a part of us that you could say was given as a gift to serve our true self, our soul. Because if we understand why we're here, it's about soul having an opportunity in this human life to resolve karma and to lay down all that karmic stuff and then be released from this chain of cycle and of birth and death, right? To be liberated, to be merged back in with the infinite, the divine. And so the mind often becomes like our master. And when it does that, it could really be seen as like a monster, in that it so dominates our decisions that we don't have perspective. We don't have the ability to find where our true self wants to go, because our mind is so busy providing distraction that it's really hard to be able to discern what are the thoughts that are going to be helpful and will serve the destiny of our soul, and what are the thoughts that are self-defeating, taking us into bad behavior, bad habits. And by bad, I mean destructive, self-destructive. Things that take you away from where you really would ideally like to be. And even getting to the point where you can understand what ideally you want to be and where you want to go, even getting to that thought can be really hard for some people. But I will say that for people who at least make an effort to have some kind of regular meditative practice, that starts to become a doorway into finding that place of self-defining, self-initiating who you want to be and how you're going to get there, right? So the time that you spend in some kind of practice, even if it's just reciting mantra, reading banis, any of those things are going to help. And I know some of you are probably saying, well, why? Why would that help? Because it's also just another thought. Yeah, it is in a way. But what it is it takes the mind's focus to a specific place. And this is a technique where we hold the mind focused in one place. And then the monkey mind, the monologue, it's still going to keep going, but it's off to the side now. It's not your primary focus. And that allows your mind to calm down, to find some sense of peace, tranquility, stillness, right? So any of those practices will help you find that. Now, is that the only way? No. There are other ways. Even finding a way to just breathe and not necessarily use a mantra, but try to sit within yourself in silence, in stillness, is a practice that maybe can come later. After you've gained some ability to shift that focus away from the monkey mind and into the mantra or the shabad, then you've got some control, you've got some ability, you've got some tools that you can then use, so that when you then want to go into stillness, you have the ability to hold the mind steady in a better way than you did before. So once you can be in stillness, then it's really a matter of allowing yourself to pose to yourself the question, who am I? What is my ideal goal in this lifetime? And what are the actions that I need to take to allow myself to step into that? And this is not the only path, the only dialogue that you could have your own way of finding your way to these questions. But the point is that you have to confront yourself. And it's not necessarily going to be as easy as it may sound by what I'm saying. You know, you may have to really take a long time to find that stillness and that sense of calm so that you can look at those things that are not working. And, you know, so Kirandeep has got a great question here. Many people ask this. So what if the mind still keeps babbling while you do the pat or the recitation of Shabad or mantra? So yeah, practice, 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 I have to say, Kirandeep. But it is, maybe it's a matter of mixing and trying different techniques, not just one. So you may have to make a little extra time. So if you are sitting in the morning and reciting Gurbani, maybe you need to, after that's done, take another 15 minutes and just breathe. And you know it's going to be hard because you're used to doing it, you're used to sitting and having something to focus on, having the Gurbani or the mantra to focus on. And so this is going to be harder, and your mind is going to try to wander and distract you. But here's a visualization technique that I found very useful. And so I'm going to guide you into it. So for those of you who really are interested in this, you may want to close your eyes and just start breathing slow and deep. Don't worry about the thoughts in your mind right now. Just follow my direction. And so your breath should become as slow as you can. Exhaling all the way out and then inhaling as deeply as you can. And just keep focus on that rhythm and the movement of the air in and out. And start to feel your shoulders relax and your body just become more and more comfortable. And then I want you to just notice your thoughts. Don't get drawn into them. You know, there's a thought about something I need to do tomorrow. There's a thought about somebody who said something I didn't like yesterday. Just let the thought go. You see it and you let it go. Then there's another one. You see it and you let it go. Now, just like the blue sky has these white clouds that move across, your mind is like that. The thoughts are moving across it just like the clouds. And just continue to watch those thoughts. But I want you to start to become aware of the gap between the thoughts, just like gap between the clouds. A place of stillness between your thoughts. And it might be really small, but just try to dive into it. Zoom in on the little space as one thought has finished just before the other thought starts. And this may not come immediately, but as you practice this technique for a few days, you'll start to get better at seeing that stillness between the thoughts and magnifying that more and more. and allow yourself to feel like you're floating in the stillness between the thoughts, around the thoughts. The thoughts are just off on their own, and you're floating in the stillness. And allow that stillness to feel like comfortable, like coming home, familiar, reassuring. And the more you practice this, the more you gain the ability to just be within that stillness, just floating. And every time a thought starts to grab on, just let it go. It doesn't matter what the thought is. If it's really an important thought, it'll come back later. But for this time, you're just going to let those thoughts all drift by like clouds. And you're going to be floating in the stillness. Okay? Now, those of you doing this as a meditation, what I'm going to say now is that within this stillness is where you have the opportunity to now provoke yourself by consciously bringing a thought about and asking a question. Who am I today? And then once you see that, and maybe you don't see it all right away, but you see something, then you ask, who do I wish to be? Who do I want to be? What is my ideal self? And look at that. And I'm going through this very quickly, but you might take days or weeks or months even to go through this process. And finally you'd ask, in the stillness, you would ask yourself, where do I need to go? What do I need to do to arrive where I want to be as my ideal self? And you know, okay, you can relax now. So this is a process, and as I say, you can't do it just in a few minutes. It's going to take some time. You would go through this more slowly on your own, and you would do it over several days or weeks. And each time you might get a little further, might get a little deeper into that feeling of stillness and into that place where you can confront your own questions, true questions, about yourself. And, maybe there are circumstances around you that are impacting you, and you could see that clearly and decide to make some changes. Change your job, change your living situation, whatever those things might be. And then there are behavior questions that may arise, like, oh, well, how can I be more loving with the people in my life? How can I be more accepting? How can I be less judgmental of others and of myself? So these are all important questions that can be available to you there. And in that stillness, then you have the opportunity to be really honest with yourself and to start to piece together a roadmap to go forward. And it's for some people it's going to be easier than others. For some people, the way forward may seem very clear, and for others it may take some time. So wherever you fall in that, that's just what it is, and there's no need to get frustrated, because sometimes these things don't arrive on our schedule. You know that old joke about how do you make God laugh? Tell him your plan. So we have to be patient with a process like this. Sometimes the doorway opens right away. Sometimes it's going to take a little more work. But slowly you may start to see just a little bit, the door may open just a little. You can see, well, if I do this, make this little course correction, then I can already start to feel better about myself. I can feel like I'm taking some control of where I'm going and who I am, laying down the habits that really do not serve me, laying down the behaviors that just don't get me where I want to be, you know? And so the imagery I like to use is it's like driving in a blizzard. You've got the windshield wipers on, maybe it's nighttime, you can only see a few feet in front of the car. But slowly, slowly, you'll be moving towards your destination. You can get home just with patience and taking one little piece at a time, because as you move forward those 2 feet, then the next couple of feet are illuminated and you can see where to go next. And so little by little you get there. So the mind is a challenging topic to understand about ourselves, and it does take some time, but it does produce results too. It's amazing how many people, when I talk to them weeks later after talking about this with them, that they say that this immediately changed how they understood their own behavior and their own sense of self. There's another piece to this that I mentioned at the beginning, where you can understand the mind if you embrace the model of there being 3 parts to the mind: the negative mind, the positive mind, and the neutral mind. And this is another useful framework to look at your own way of behaving with your mind. So each of these parts of the mind have a very important role to play. The negative mind, it's the first part to respond to a situation. The negative mind is that mind that says, no, stop, danger, And so it serves us in that capacity of warning us when there could be some danger. However, it often freezes us and never allows us to move forward. So, the negative mind can be very strong. As I say, it's the kind of the first part of our mind that responds to a challenge or a question. We easily shut down things. And a lot of people struggle with this, where they tend to say no to almost everything, because it's too threatening, it's too challenging, it's too hard. So the negative mind is very judgmental in that when it's overactive. That person's bad, what they're saying is bad, everything's bad. That's the overactive negative mind. As I say, it can serve us, it's an important part to us, but if it gets overactive, then we're out of balance. Now the next part of the mind is the positive mind, and this is the part that says, oh, I like that. Yes, I want that, And so it's a good thing. It's the risk taker. So in balance with the negative mind, it's good to have that positive mind, so it gets us out the door, so to speak. Otherwise we just stay home all the time. So the positive mind is an important part. However, it can also get overactive. And then that's the person who is trying to please everybody. That's the person who has no boundaries, overcommits, takes on way too much load. And so that's the danger of the positive mind, but it's an important part. And then finally we have the neutral mind, which is really the balance between those two, and where we hopefully can get to after we've seen what our negative mind has to say about a situation, we've seen what our positive mind has to say, and then you find your way to a more neutral response that is not overly active negative or overly active positive, weighing the two in a healthy way that serves you, serves the situation, and then making a choice in that neutral space, the neutral mind. So this model of the three minds is very useful. And again, if you start to notice the way you are responding to things in your life, and just ask yourself, is that my negative mind? Is that my positive mind? Or is that my neutral mind? And try to understand that. Now, the neutral mind seems like maybe the ideal mind. And yeah, it can seem that way because, we want to be making our important choices from some neutrality, some place of not overreacting negatively or positively. But the neutral mind has its drawback too, and that is that the neutral mind can lead us into detachment, unemotionality, just being insensitive to situations and to people. So it's a problem with people on the spiritual path sometimes, where they get so invested in being holy that they lose the ability to be empathic, to feel the pain of others. So it's important that you be aware of that and that you don't get caught by that hook too. All right, I've gone through another episode talking to you, and I appreciate your questions and your sharing. And I want to remind you that tomorrow there will not be the home kirtan chat program that I do on Fridays, that we're taking a break on that for a week because of the Summer Solstice E-Summit from 3HO. So I hope you will have time to participate in the E-Summit. It's happening all 3 days, Friday, tomorrow, and Saturday and Sunday. And then next week I'll be back on Tuesday and Thursday with this program. I also wanted to draw your attention to the virtual Sahaj Pot that is actually already happening, and there may not be much opportunity, but if you're interested in signing up for the online Sahaj Pot, there's the link for it at the bottom of this image. And so next week, Friday, I wanted to let you know that I'm going to have a very interesting guest. He's not well known to people, certainly in the United States. His name is Kirit Singh, and he's a young man who's been studying very ancient forms of kirtan, of classical Indian music and Gurbani kirtan, called Drupad style. And so he's going to be with us talking about that next Friday. And then the Friday after that, I will have Guru Ganesha Singh, who is well known for touring with the Guru Ganesha Band, and earlier touring with Sanatan Kaur for many years. And then after that, and after that, and after that, we will have wonderful musicians too on those Friday programs. So I hope you'll stick with us. Please share this program around. Please like it. That will help us get the word out. And so I'm going to thank you all for joining me today, and look forward to seeing you perhaps in my class at the E-Summit. I'll be teaching on Sunday at 11 o'clock Mountain Time, and I'll be teaching a class on deep listening, Suniye, and we'll be bringing the 8th Pauri of Japji, and some other ideas too. So I look forward to seeing you there, and may you be well, may you stay safe, and stay home if you can. And we'll see you somewhere down the road. Satnam, all blessings. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.